In 1986, history was made by steelworkers at USX. America's largest steel company locked its gates to its thousands of union employees on August 1st. USX said the security of its workers' jobs meant nothing. The company thought it could break the will of the steelworkers. USX was wrong. This is the steelworkers' story, their strength, their pains, their triumphs, and the solidarity they inspire.
We're waiting on jobs. We're waiting on secure jobs. We're not talking about coming to work this week and being off the next 3 weeks.
We're doing everything possible to put our people back to work and try to negotiate a reasonable agreement with this company, but we're dealing with a company without a conscience as far as I'm concerned.
We're all together, we're all supporting each other, we're all working for the same end, and we're going to stick together in unity until we make it.
They're gonna change their name and close their doors to you. They say this is how it's gonna be. Take it or you leave it unconditionally. Wanna take our dreams away, want more work or less pay. Is this how we're gonna live in the USA? We know we're here for what is right. We all came here to join the fight. Didn't want a battle, but now they've got a war. We know we're here for what is right.
From Gary, Indiana, to Fairfield, Alabama, to Clairton, Pennsylvania, to all the other USX plants across the country, the steelworkers said they wanted to negotiate a fair contract, as they had with each of the other major domestic companies in the steel industry. But USX also made its position clear: no. And on August 1st, 1986, the company locked out its 22,000 steelworkers. When the steelworkers said they would negotiate based on the real economic situation of each company if the union could see the books, the other companies, when asked, said yes. USX said no. When the steelworkers proposed the formation of a labor management council on foreign trade, the other companies said yes. USX said no. And when the steelworkers said they would keep working after the contract deadline while continuing to negotiate, USX said no.
USX wants to take unfair advantage of its employees and take advantage of the other steel companies by getting a better deal from United Steelworkers of America. Well, we won't stand for it. We won't allow our members to have a worse deal than USX than any other steel companies.
The lockout dragged on into the new year, making it by far the longest work stoppage in the history of the steel industry. But every time the union asked the company to sit down and negotiate reasonably, the same USX answer came back: no.
The company talks in terms of having a competitive labor agreement in terms of economics. The union talks about having a competitive labor agreement in terms of job security.
So money really wasn't the big issue at that point. Jobs were the big issue when we went out on August the 1st.
They want the right to contract out our jobs, and this is why we're out here for as long as we are right now. And this is why we have to continue on with this fight, because if we allow this company to bring in these outside contractors, these non-union people, it's going to eventually mean the end of our jobs.
I've been out there 20 years myself, which a lot of more fellas been out there 25, 30, 35 years. All of a sudden, you go to work this day, you ain't got no job. Contractors join your job.
Whatever opportunity there's to be in this steel industry for decent jobs and decent wages and some hope, whatever needs to be done to build and revive a strong industry in America, a strong steel industry, steel workers are entitled to be part of that and not have their jobs contracted out to a bunch of cheap labor, non-union labor, scab labor. It's their jobs, your jobs, and we're entitled to have those jobs.
In endless ways, steelworkers showed they were determined to stick together and to preserve those jobs. Solidarity became a hallmark of the struggle. Countless rallies and other events were organized by local unions, community support groups, steelworkers' district offices, and the AFL-CIO.
The International Union, the United Steelworkers of America, is in complete support of this struggle that you've got going here today. Not only here in Lorraine, but in some 56 local unions that scattered from one end of the United States to the other. And damn it, we're going to win.
Nationally, the Steelworkers Lockout Coordinating Committee was chaired by Vice President George Becker. It linked the local expressions of solidarity and added new punch to the union's strength. An online computerized database let steelworkers move swiftly and effectively to counter USX operations. A toll-free telephone hotline kept locked-out workers up to date. Unemployment benefits were won by the union legal staff for thousands of locked-out steelworkers and their families. An aggressive awareness campaign was launched to tell the public that USX used money raked in from steelworker sacrifices and corporate tax breaks to buy Marathon Oil instead of modernizing its own facilities. Through the AFL-CIO's Steelworkers Support Committee, chaired by Murray Finley of the Clothing and Textile Workers, thousands of rank and file from other unions joined the steelworkers in leafleting. While members of the Steelworkers Union were working together to support their fellow members in USX locals, the message of the shutdown's significance was taken to other unions as well.
The AFL-CIO understands that this struggle is in the forefront of the issues in America today. The AFL-CIO understands that we learned a great lesson from PATCO, that if we don't stand up and take a stand when someone tries to take advantage of this economic situation and tries to run over us, then unions can be destroyed and workers can be destroyed and security and opportunity can be destroyed. So the whole movement is joined in taking this stand.
This is not just a lockout of the steel workers. This is a lockout of the clothing workers. It's a lockout of the auto workers. It's a lockout of all workers in this country. And maybe in a further sense, it is a lockout of all decent people in this country.
GM, they're closing 11 plants, 29,000 people out of work. Where are they going?
It's the same thing within the Mon Valley. We've gone from some 55,000 employees to possibly less than 10,000.
Coordinated through the AFL-CIO's Steelworkers Support Committee, other unions contributed financial support and demonstrated solidarity. Members from more than 25 unions stepped before this plant gate to give their reasons for supporting USX workers and stopping the company without a conscience.
My father was union, and so was his. I understand we don't negotiate in a vacuum. That's why everyone is watching to see what USX can get away with. That's why I came here. That's why we all came here. We have to stand up and support each other.
I'm with the National Union of Hospital and Healthcare Employees.
I'm a garment worker.
I'm with Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union.
I'm from the UFCW. As an AFSCME member, I can say it's happening in government work, too. They're contracting out our jobs without regard to investment in our communities or planning for our children's futures.
I represent the heavy construction laborers, and we're here to say to USX, enough is enough.
What affects one union affects us all.
And with all of our unions sticking together, we can make USX negotiate a good contract.
There are times when the strength of solidarity and conviction are put to the acid test.
We didn't want a battle, but now we've got a war. We know we're here for what is right.
It's unfortunate, but with a company like this, like U.S. Steel, if they would have spent half of the money that they did trying to keep us from getting unemployment and trying to fight in any which way they can from getting our benefits, we'd have had a contract a long time ago. But they continue the fight. For what? They laid us all off.
Workers have been exploited and workers have been pushed around, and corporations try to run over them when they get a chance, and who know in their hearts and their guts that there comes a time when you have to stand up and you have to be counted and you have to say enough is enough and you have to take a stand.
It took 6 months and the help of an outside mediator. But finally, the company acknowledged that enough was enough.
The members of the United Steelworkers of America employed at USX have ratified the proposed agreement negotiated by both parties.
As part of the back-to-work agreement, steelworkers won strong new language that sharply limits the company's ability to contract out work. The vote was counted on January 31st. USX workers ratified the contract with an 83% approval. The historic 184-day lockout was over.
The way I feel about it, do whatever it takes to stay out here and get what we deserve.
As long as we stay together and tighten our belts, we can beat this thing.
They didn't think we had the support. They didn't think we could have enough backbone to stand up and face them. Well, I hope they learn a lesson with this.
You're doing yourselves proud. You're doing this union proud. You're proving to all the reactionaries in USX and across this country that American working people have guts, have determination, are going to stand up for their rights, and are going to win these kind of battles across this country.
184 days of struggle after it started, the longest work stoppage in the history of the steel industry was brought to an end. The members of the 50 steelworker local unions who were locked out have earned a special place in history. The strength of their resolve is now legend. The principles of job security for which they sacrificed have now been greatly advanced, not just for them, but for all workers.